Hello, it's Linda Emslie from Lovlali. It's Wednesday lunchtime. That means it's time for the lounge room chat. And of course, I've just hit broadcast and my husband is frantically waving at me from the window. I think he noticed I might be doing something and he's walked away. I seem to have that lucky knack of pushing record, and it's either my husband or the dog or the kids. I'm sure you've got a similar situation at your place. Anyway, I wanted to take some time today to explore further some of the situations that we can detox in our corporate career. And today I'm plunging into some of the more taboo areas of working in an institutionalized workplace. And it's something that is quite insidious. It's something that people don't like to talk about. It's something that many people experience. Hello, Sharon. Nice to see you here today. Thank you for popping in. And there we go. I seem to have developed a bit of a delay. And Keza, hello, Keza. Welcome to you. Thank you for popping in. And Sharon, I've got myself back to front there. I'm Linda Emslie from Lovlali, and you've joined in for the lounge room chat today. And our topic of discussion is to continue on with detoxing the corporate career. And I'm exploring some of the more insidious and unmentioned toxins in our workplace today. So ladies that are present, were either of you bullied as a kid? I know I was. I put my hand up. Anybody joining in, if you want to mention in the comments, and it's quite okay if you don't, if you experienced bullying as a child. Did you ever wonder what happened to those bullies as they grew up? I certainly did. I was bullied a little bit at school. Actually, I was bullied quite a lot at school, but that's okay. I managed to survive. But what nearly undid me was encountering bullying in the workplace. And I have spoken to a number of people recently who have experienced bullying in the workplace. And it is quite destructive, it is insidious, and it's unrecognised, because obviously we all like to believe it doesn't happen, but it does. And when bullying does happen, it's not managed very well at all. In fact, I notice it in schools with my kids going through schools. Trying to manage bullying in the classroom is very, very difficult. Yes, there are all these policies written on paper. It all looks great on paper, but actually dealing with bullying is quite difficult. And it often turns out that it's the person who's been the subject of bullying who has to change their way of being to avoid being bullied. And there is still an aspect of blame associated to the person who has received bullying. So this has come to the fore for me quite strongly over the recent couple of weeks, with a case in the Territory that's been reported on mainstream media of a woman who worked in an institutionalised workplace, who was subjected to extreme bullying over a prolonged period of time that resulted in her suiciding. Now that's quite shocking, the fact that something like that could happen in this day and age, and that nothing was done. Well, it appears that very little was done, and from what the reports were, it appears that the workplace itself contributed and supported the bully, contributed to this person being victimised, and supported the bully in her bullying, to the extent that this other poor woman killed herself. Now, that's not acceptable. In my line of work as a healer, I do deal with some very stressful situations, some people who are dealing with some very deep trauma, deep grief, deep stress, and people who are trying to pick themselves back up from being subjected to bullying in the workplace. So I wanted to open up this can of worms for discussion because it's dangerous. It's life-threatening. Hey, Adair, welcome for for joining in. Coming into hearing that is shocking. Yeah, absolutely. I was very shocked when I actually heard the news report, because Darwin being Darwin, I actually knew that person, and I had actually, you know, back in the day when I was working in an institutionalized workplace, we'd trade stories in the tea room and, you know, check in on each other. So that really rocked me back on my socks. So I can see I'm not generating much comment at the moment, because this is a difficult topic. We don't like to admit that bullying happens. And Adair's saying, I was thinking along those lines too when I was being bullied in the workplace. Yeah, when you are being subjected to bullying in the workplace in particular, and I don't know if these people were bullies as children, I've no idea, and that's, you know, making a sweeping generalisation. But if they were, they've obviously honed their skills over the years, because unless you're keeping a close eye, you don't notice it. You know, everybody's trying to get their work done, but there's someone there who is just enjoying, I don't know whether it's mind games or power play or whatever it is, making somebody else's life an absolute misery. And that is not okay. That is not okay in anybody's books, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in the school, whether it's in, I don't know, a learning environment, wherever it is. We need to be doing something about this. Both the victim needs support and help, and the bully obviously needs support and help too. Keza is saying, yeah, that she was bullied at school. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Being the target, being the victim. Tell me, Keza, can you remember how you felt? Because one of the biggest things that I noticed in myself when I was the subject of bullying was a complete erosion of self-confidence and a feeling that I wasn't good enough. Now, we deal with that already, but yeah. So Adair is saying it's like a dripping tap. You don't know you're being bullied until you wake up one day and it's so bad there's nowhere to turn. Absolutely. And like when you're in the workplace, it's even harder, because there's that element of, I don't want to be seen like I can't do my job. Yeah, that really adds such a huge dimension to the load that people carry if they're in a position of being subjected to harassment and bullying. So, or harassment. I'm old-fashioned. I'm going to say harassment. Sorry. So, what can we do about it? It's really difficult, particularly in the workplace, to put your hand up and say, "Hey, I'm having trouble. This person is persecuting me." A, because it's really hard to prove. B, you don't want to feel like you're not coping and being seen as a whinger. And Kez is saying, I felt horrible and terrible when I got bullied. Absolutely. It makes you feel so vulnerable. It makes you feel worthless. It makes you feel like there must be something wrong with me, because why on earth have they painted a target on my back? What is it about me that's drawing this negative attention? So, and when you translate that into the workplace and you're facing that, as well as trying to deal, you know, we all like to approach our work at a professional level and operate to the best of our ability, contribute as a team member, etc., etc. And yet when there's somebody on the team who is deliberately undermining you, eroding your self-confidence, browbeating you, whatever it is, it's really hard to function, and it's really hard to perform, really hard. So what do we do about it? This is the question. This is the million-dollar question, and I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer because, you know, I'd probably be a millionaire selling the solution to all the institutionalized workplaces. And Adair is saying the kicker for me was that I built the Working in Harmony program from the ground up, recruited and trained 50 harassment contact officers who worked right across South Australia. And when it happened to me, the process I'd invested so much time, energy and belief in let me down. My God, Adair, that, you know, that surpasses irony. That I'm gobsmacked. I really am. you must have been completely shattered by that. I'm surprised that you're such a beautiful, functioning person at the moment, and you bring so much to the plate for everybody here. I'm really, really, really thankful that you survived that ordeal and that you've come shining through the other end. And Keza is saying that she felt vulnerable as well when she was bullied. Absolutely, because you get that sense of isolation. The bullies are very clever. They are able to isolate you, undermine you, and make you feel like there's nowhere to turn. And whether other people around you are noticing what's going on and they don't want that sort of attention themselves, so they just turn a blind eye, I don't know. Certainly at school, I noticed that with kids. Other kids don't want to be bullied. They don't want to be the subject of an attack or physical intimidation. So of course they walk away or pretend they can't see what's happening. But we all know that if a bully is actually confronted, and if we actually join forces and have a combined front against the bully, they don't actually have what it takes to deal with that, because there's a lack on their side as well. Now, I'm not saying that we should sit in judgment of bullies and say they're a bad person and et cetera, et cetera. You know, often there is a lack on their side as well. And Adair is just saying that she did a guest appearance on SBS Insight to try and combat it, and was published in the Sydney Business Women's Mag about it. She ended up with an alcohol problem and no confidence, like I said. I don't want anyone to have to go through that ever. Absolutely. And I guess that's why I wanted to start this conversation, because it does seem to be something that is still remaining taboo. We don't shine a light on it for whatever the reason is. Now, from my own personal experience, I worked in a place, you know, okay, I'm going to put my hand up and say it was the public sector. So there are very broad brush policies in place that if you read them, they look fantastic. But when it comes to actually enacting those policies and getting support from them, no, completely lacking. And I don't know whether that's just the personalities that were involved or whether it's just the way that the institution is set up. It's probably a combination of all those things. But bullying is real and bullying is dangerous. And we have had a real life example here in the Territory of a woman who took her life because she was bullied. Not okay. Absolutely not okay. Adair is saying, yes, she was in the public sector too. Yeah, and I feel that it's unfortunate that some of these bigger institutions seem to attract people who like to have a bit of a mind game going on. I do remember listening to a report a number of years ago about psychopaths being attracted to these types of organisations, simply because they can get themselves ensconced in an area where they look to be performing very well, and then they have their choice of who they can play with. It's a really chilling thought that psychopaths walk amongst us, and often we rub shoulders with them at work. What can we do about it? Well, I think the very first thing that we need to do, if you're in a situation like this where you are being subjected to bullying, is to get yourself an ally. And that's not necessarily in your immediate work area, because that in itself is very difficult. The people in your immediate work area may actually be aware of what's going on, may be aware of the bully and their reputation, and they don't want to wear that either. Or they could be experiencing it themselves and thinking they're the only ones. So there could be opportunity for an alliance there with someone in your immediate workspace. But you need to be very careful that it doesn't turn into this little gossip group, I guess, of us versus them. Adair Palmer, I do feel for them now. Compassion wasn't easy and sort of seeped in over time as I healed myself. Absolutely. When you're in it in the moment, your focus needs to be you. Absolutely. Your own healing comes first. Once you've healed yourself, then it's time to have spare energy, spare healing capacity, spare compassion for those around you. But you did absolutely the right thing, and I'm so glad you did, because it means, Adair, that you're still here with us and you're still contributing, and you are bringing so much more forth for the rest of us to benefit from. I'm actually feeling very emotional about this topic, so just bear with me, because I think about that woman who didn't come through her bullying. Natasha has joined us. Hello, Natasha. Thank you, and thank you for joining the conversation. Natasha quit school as soon as she could, and now her children suffer with it. Yeah, as a mum, watching your child go through an episode of bullying is very difficult, and it does trigger those memories for you. And Adair's saying, thank you, Linda, I'm feeling emotional too. Yeah, I think this is going to be a fairly torrid, emotional lounge room chat today. But I think this is too important to let go. And I think it's something that we will continue discussing over the next couple of weeks. Like I said right up front, I don't have an answer for this, because if I did, obviously I'd be out there as the bullying consultant to the world, or the anti-bullying consultant to the world, and solving the bullying crises in our schools, in our institutions. Well, look, let's not even start with the religious institutions, with our workplaces. There is a hell of a lot of healing that needs to happen. So in my own capacity as a healer, working one-on-one, healing one person at a time, I do deal with this, and it is something that I'm dealing with a number of clients at the moment who are recovering from bullying or going through bullying in various forms as we speak. And it is so disempowering for the person who is going through it. So my first tip was for you to find an ally, whether that's in the immediate work group or whether it's someone outside the immediate area. You need to have someone on board who can take a dispassionate view and come into arms for you. Adair is saying, my son was bullied by the school counsellor. Oh my God. Sorry. Really? The school counsellor last year? Wow. That is the last place you expected, isn't it? How did you manage that, Adair? That would have been really a real trick. Adair is now saying he has a passionate dislike for school now. I'm not surprised, even though we've changed schools for him. I am gobsmacked. That is shocking. Wow. Natasha Johnson is saying that her son is 10 and self-harmed, and that tore you apart. Oh my God, yes, absolutely. I'm so pleased to hear that you're on the right track for help now. That's fantastic. Someone at the age of 10 self-harming due to bullying. That is just not okay. Adair Palmer, I went Mama Bear on the counsellor. Oh my goodness, I would love to have been a fly on the wall for that. It probably didn't help. No, it probably didn't, but it probably helped your son to see the strength and the power that he had on his side, that he had a really strong, passionate ally at his back. So it may not have helped heal the immediate situation, but it would have been such a comfort and such an empowerment for your son to see the strength that he could tap into, and knowing that someone's got his back. Because when you're in the workplace in a bullying situation like that, it's really hard trying to find someone who's got your back. So that brings me back to my first point about finding an ally, whether it's in your immediate work environment or whether it's slightly distance. And certainly in the workplace that I was in, the ally that I sought was actually quite removed from the workplace itself. And they get called on quite a lot. And believe it or not, it was a counselling institution that helped me out there. And Adair is saying his dad was on the school council and was embarrassed. It was a really awkward situation. Well, there's a whole lot going on there for you, Adair. Yeah, it probably did put him in a difficult position, your husband, being that he was on the school council. However, as a member of the school council, he was probably in a position of having to do something about that incident, or at least making sure the school did something about that incident. So all power to you for taking the strength. I certainly, when a child's involved, when it's your child, mama bear, mama lion, whichever one, it's going to come out and take care of her cub. Absolutely. Just checking if there's any other comments that's come through there. Yeah, so the first thing is to do is to find that ally, is to have that sense that someone does have your back. And Adair saying, that's a story for another time. He did nothing. Okay. Yeah, we won't venture into that one just now, Adair. So my second tip for someone, and Adair saying, anywho, back to what we can do about it. Yeah, absolutely. Get yourself an ally, whether that is someone in your workplace. I would love to be able to say, go and see your HR manager, but my personal experience of that is they're quite ineffectual, because all they want to do is follow the dictates of the policy in front of you, and that doesn't actually provide much personal support or give you much backing in what you're dealing with. You're pretty much left to sink or swim on your own. And that's my experience of HR in the situation that I was in. I'm not saying that all HR managers or all HR sections would be like that. And Natasha is saying that her children are always worried about telling me. I won't let it keep going. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Keeping the lines of communication open with your kids when they are being bullied, and allowing them to know that it's actually better for them to tell you so that something can be done. And whether that's working out with them the best line of approach to take, or whether they feel like if they report the bullying, they're just going to get more bullying as a result. That's something that needs to be taken up with the school, and the school needs to be working on isolating the bully and dealing with the bully's behaviour, not the victim. Okay, we need to be supporting the victim and working on the bully to change their behaviour, not the victim's behaviour. And that's what I find happens a lot with school bullying in particular. It's the person that's being bullied is expected to change their way, rather than it's too hard to actually deal with the bully. So let's deal with the victim in a way that isolates them from the bully, or isolates them from the class, or isolates them from the school community. Not an acceptable solution. So yeah, Natasha, some of the things that you are probably already doing is to assure your kids that those lines of communication are open, and that it's safe for them to tell you about what's happening for them at school, and that you can work out a solution together. But sometimes you do just need to do, as Adair said, and go mama bear and go straight to the top and fix it. Okay, let's sort this. The second thing that I reckon is a powerful thing for you to do. Oh, hang on. There was one more thing I wanted to say about getting yourself an ally. If you are a member of a union, obviously going to your union rep is a powerful step, because they will, definitely have your back for you. If you're not a union rep, if you're a member of a professional association, perhaps there's resource there for you to tap into. But then, if there's no such thing as a professional association for the type of work you do, then it could be that you need to go to an external counselling agency. So something like employee assistance scheme, whether there's something like that available for you. Adair is saying, no, union did not help at all. Interesting. Okay, I'm really sorry to hear that. So you obviously found resource somewhere, Adair, and I suspect, given the strength of character that you've shown, that was in a resource. So my next tip would be to get support for yourself, whether that's through private counselling or through your GP. And Glenn Mitchell, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining in. Today in the lounge room chat, we are talking about workplace bullying. So we're just going through some of the tips that you could possibly employ if you're experiencing workplace bullying. And I'm just going to reiterate here, I don't have a solution for workplace bullying. I can only make suggestions to you about some of the things I did for myself when I experienced workplace bullying, and some of the things that I discuss with clients when they're going through workplace bullying about resources that they can tap into. And that is getting yourself an ally, so you have someone who has your back, whether that's in your immediate work environment or slightly outside of that. It could be that you need to go to management to get support, but that is also quite fraught with peril, because you don't want to be seen to be a whinger, a dobber, unable to cope with the workload. You get labelled really easily in the workplace if you're seen to be not managing what's on your plate or what's going on. So it's quite a difficult situation when you're facing workplace bullying. Okay, so the second tip is to get the personal support for yourself. And obviously, you know, if you've got friends and family that you can unload to, that's great. Use that as a place to unload. Be mindful not to be generating an us versus them victim mentality for yourself. So that's why I really encourage connecting with professional counselling or your GP. Yeah, exactly. And often, Adair, you're right, if the manager is the bully, you've got a real problem. And often it's the manager that is doing the bullying, because they've got themselves into that position specifically so they can pick their targets. There is an element of can't say that word. There are a number of psychopaths in the workplace. Psychopathy is the word I'm trying to say. I obviously need some water, just a tip. Adair's top tip from her personal experience: don't unload into a bottle of wine. That makes it worse in the long run. Absolutely. Yeah. Trying to clear the emotion from this really highly emotional charged setting is extremely difficult, and you do need professional help with it. Practice self-care as much as you can. Fantastic, Adair. Yep, that was going to be my third tip, and this I think is the most important tip, is tapping into your inner resource. Okay, so you do need external support. You do need external structure in place to help you with this, but you do also need to look within and start developing your inner resource. So the self-care, going for help, getting healing, getting massage, all of those sort of things do help. But then also coming into connection with your own inner healer is a really powerful way to start combating that downward slide. So prolonged exposure to bullying will eventually have impact in your mental health. For Adair is saying, the good part was that it led me to meditation classes. Also found Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, and that was a godsend at the time. Absolutely. There are a lot of really powerful resources around. Meditation is really useful, as is tapping into someone who can help you healing on the energetic level and provide some guidance about your specific situation and equip you with personal tools that are tailored to your specific needs. So yeah, I'm putting in a plug here for me as a healer, absolutely, because that's what clients who come to me say they get from me that they're not getting anywhere else. They're getting the counselling support that they need, which is wonderful, but the work that we do, they say, just makes everything click into place. So I am a career mentor. I do help people who are finding themselves in a place that no longer fits for whatever reason. And sometimes it is the workplace culture itself that's not working. And encountering bullies can be a very powerful indicator to you that you're in the wrong place doing the wrong thing. even though you feel emotionally connected to the work itself. Adair is saying, thank you, Adair, I'm going to show this. Yes, see Linda for help. Thank you for that plug. I really appreciate it, Adair. Sometimes the messages that the universe sends us need to be as strong as being hit between the eyes by a brick. And sometimes it does take being subjected to bullying for us to really sit back and assess the situation that we're in, to say, yeah, this really actually isn't for me. And that's okay if you can recognize that. Often it's not because you're not good enough or because you're not capable. That's what the bully wants you to think, so that you can stay there, feel immobilized, paralyzed, so they can stay and play with you a bit longer. But maybe it's just an indication for you that this is not right. And it's time to look at what your options are. Okay, so if you're in a position of being bullied, get yourself an ally, get yourself the personal support that you need, whether that's via counselling or via your GP. Do be mindful of your mental health. Okay, you do need to be mindful. I'm not pulling any punches here. Prolonged bullying is going to have an effect, whether that results as depression, whether it results as anxiety or panic attacks, whatever it is. You do need to be mindful, and you do need to look after your mental health. And the third thing is to start looking at your inner resources and to equip yourself with tools, the strength that you need inside to, you're not going to overcome the bullying so much, but confront it, call it for what it is. Whether you ever get the opportunity to say that to the bully themselves, maybe not, but knowing for yourself that you've done the best that you can do, and extricate yourself from that situation. So this is a timely moment for me to say I do offer 15-minute obligation-free freedom discovery chats. If you'd like to get in touch, just comment detox in the comments below, and I will connect with you via Messenger to see what we can do for you. And Adair is saying that she joined a group called SABOW, South Australian Employees Bullied Out of Work. My God, there's an association for people bullied out of work. I mean, does that not speak volumes about the level of change we need to make? I wonder if those types of groups exist in other states. You know what, Adair? I have no idea. You've given me something to look for. So that's really interesting. So if you're in South Australia, there's a resource for you. South Australians bullied out of work. Oh my God. So yeah, with people suiciding because they're being bullied in the workplace, organisations called into existence to support people specifically bullied out of the workplace. Does that not tell you that things need to change? Okay, I'm Linda Emslie from Lovlali. I am very grateful for the people who have been a part of the conversation today. It's been quite an emotional discussion for myself and for the people involved. So I do thank you for sharing your experience and your vulnerability in this particular setting. Bullying is unpleasant and it's life-threatening, and we do need to call it for what it is. So thank you very much for your participation today. If you would like to talk to me individually, just comment detox below, as in like detox your corporate career, because I'm a career shift mentor and that's what I can help you with. I'm also a healer and I'm equipped to help you manage your emotional load through those things. I'm Linda Emslie from Lovlali. I've gone slightly over time. Thank you so much for joining me in the lounge room today. Thank you, Glenn. It's been a pleasure to have you here today. If you have questions, if something's come up for you, you're welcome to comment in the comments below. If you prefer to talk to me in private, please message me. Okay, if this has stirred anything up for you, connect with me through Messenger. Don't deal with this on your own, and don't feel like you're on your own. Okay, there is support there, and we need to do something about bullying. Okay, I'm calling it quits. We've gone over time. Thank you so much for being here. I will be in the lounge room same time next Wednesday. That's 1 o'clock Darwin time. So for people in South Australia, we're still aligned. That's fantastic. Eastern states, I think that's 1:30 your time. Western state, you're an hour and a half ahead. If you're tuning in from overseas, I'm going to have to ask you to check your own time conversion app to work out what time that is if you want to join in with the live conversation. For those of you joining in for the replay, thank you. If you have comments, do write them there. I will come back through. If you have questions, I will come back through and answer those. And of course, if you want to connect, detox in the comment for a 15-minute freedom discovery call, completely obligation free. That's it from me. Adair is saying, thanks, Linda. A sad topic to have to discuss, but great to have brought it up. Yep, I agree. I don't think we can talk about detoxing the corporate career without talking about this taboo subject, and it is taboo. Nobody talks about bullying in the workplace because we don't like to acknowledge that it's happening. But with people committing suicide because they're being bullied and it being reported in mainstream media, I think it's time. It's time we called it for what it is and we did something about it. Okay, I'm Linda Emslie from Lovlali, talking to you from the lounge room at Lovlali. Thank you very much for your company, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye for now.